What if some of the most effective medicine you could possibly use is growing wild in a ditch, a vacant lot, or your own backyard right now, and you've walked past it 1,000 times without knowing it? Most people don't realize this, but before pharmacies existed on every corner, entire generations survived on a small handful of common plants. Not exotic imports, not lab-made compounds. Weeds, plants growing in cracks in the sidewalk and along hiking trails, plants our grandparents knew by name and reached for automatically. Today I'm showing you 9 of them, the ones with real research behind them, not just folklore. Stick around, because number 7 on this list has one property that most modern first aid kits don't. It can help stop bleeding and fight infection at the same time. And number 9 is so common you've probably stepped on it in your own lawn this week without a second thought. If you want more of this forgotten plant knowledge backed by real research, hit subscribe, because we post one of these every week. And stick to the end, because I'm going to point you toward 2 guides that go a lot deeper than any single video can. Let's get into it. Here are 9 forgotten plants that will heal you instantly, ranked from impressive to essential. 1. Plantain weed. This is the plant almost everyone has walked past without noticing. Not the banana-like fruit, the low, oval-leafed weed growing in lawns and along trails everywhere. Native Americans called it white man's footprint, because it seemed to spring up wherever European settlers walked. But they quickly learned this plain-looking weed treated cuts, stings, and minor burns better than almost anything else close at hand. Modern research backs this up. Studies on Plantago major show genuine wound healing, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial activity. A clinical trial in Iran found plantain ointment improved healing in second-degree burns compared to standard treatment. Traditional use. Take a fresh leaf, crush or chew it briefly to break the cell walls, and apply it directly to a cut, sting, or bite. It's free, it's everywhere, and it's been doing this job long before we forgot to look down. 2. Yarrow. Soldiers have carried dried yarrow into battle for centuries, and for good reason. It genuinely helps stop bleeding. Achillea millefolium contains compounds studied for hemostatic effects, meaning it helps promote clotting, alongside documented anti-inflammatory and wound-healing properties. It grows wild across North America and Europe, tall stems topped with clusters of small white or pink flowers. What makes yarrow unusual is that it does 2 jobs most plants only do one of. It helps slow bleeding and supports wound healing at the same time. Traditional use. Crushed fresh leaves applied directly to a cut or scrape, or a tea made from the dried plant for fevers and digestive complaints. 3. Self-heal. This plant is named exactly what it does. Prunella vulgaris, self-heal or heal-all, was trusted for wounds, sore throats, and mouth irritation for centuries. Modern reviews show self-heal has real anti-inflammatory and wound-healing properties, and some research has found it disrupts bacterial biofilms, the protective layers bacteria build that make infections harder to treat. It grows low to the ground with small purple flower spikes, often right in your lawn. Traditional use. A strong tea used as a gargle for sore throats or mouth irritation, or crushed fresh leaves applied to minor cuts and scrapes. 4. Mullein. You've probably seen this one without knowing its name. A tall plant with fuzzy, felt-like leaves and a spike of yellow flowers, standing in vacant lots and along roadsides. For generations, mullein was the go-to remedy for chest congestion and coughs. Verbascum species contain compounds that act as natural expectorants, helping loosen and clear mucus rather than just suppressing the cough. Traditional use. A tea made from the dried leaves, strained carefully through cloth to remove the fine hairs, taken a few times a day during a chest cold. The flowers were also infused in oil for ear discomfort. 5. Comfrey. External use only. Comfrey has one of the most descriptive folk names in herbal history, knitbone. For generations, people applied it externally to sprains, bruises, and healing bones, and it genuinely seemed to speed things along. Symphytum officinale contains allantoin, a compound that promotes cell proliferation, encouraging tissue to repair itself faster. Multiple clinical trials have shown topical comfrey extract reduces pain and improves function in back pain, sprains, and minor abrasions. Here's the important safety note. Comfrey is for external use only. It contains pyrrolizidine alkaloids that can affect the liver if taken internally. Used as a topical salve on unbroken skin, it's a different story, and it remains one of the fastest topical healers available for soft tissue injuries. 6. Calendula. Medieval soldiers carried calendula flowers into war specifically for wound care. They called it the war flower. Calendula officinalis, pot marigold, produces bright orange and yellow flowers, packed with triterpenoids and flavonoids, studied for genuine anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity. Clinical research has shown calendula extract speed healing in wounds, including surgical wounds and minor burns. Traditional use. Infuse the dried flowers in oil to make a simple salve for cuts, scrapes, and irritated skin. It grows easily in almost any garden, blooming from spring through frost. 7. Elderflower and elderberry. Here's the one I teased at the top. Elder has been used across Europe for centuries at the very first sign of a cold or flu, and it does something most remedies don't. It works on two different fronts at once. Elderflower has traditionally been used to support the body's fever response, while elderberry, Sambucus nigra, contains anthocyanins studied for immune-supportive and antioxidant effects. Several clinical trials have looked at elderberry syrup and found it may modestly shorten the duration of cold and flu symptoms in some studies, though research is still ongoing and results are mixed. Important safety note: raw, unripe elderberries and other parts of the plant contain compounds that can cause nausea. Only properly cooked or professionally prepared elderberry syrup should be used. Traditional use: elderflower tea at the first sign of fever, and cooked elderberry syrup during cold and flu season. 8. Chickweed. Chickweed is one of those plants gardeners pull as a weed without a second thought, but traditional herbalists valued it specifically for skin irritation. Stellaria media has been used topically for centuries for itchy, irritated, or inflamed skin, including minor rashes and bug bites. It contains saponins studied for mild soothing and anti-inflammatory properties, and it's rich in vitamins and minerals when eaten young in salads, a practice still common in parts of Europe. Traditional use: crushed, fresh chickweed applied directly to itchy or irritated skin, or infused into a soothing oil for regular use. 9. Cleavers. And here's number 9. The plant you've almost certainly brushed against without noticing, since it clings lightly to clothing and fur with tiny hooked hairs. Galium aperine has a long traditional history as a gentle lymphatic and diuretic support, historically used for minor skin irritations and as a spring tonic. It's easy to identify by the way it sticks to fabric, and it grows in hedgerows, gardens, and along fences almost everywhere. Traditional use: a tea made from the fresh or dried plant, taken as a mild traditional tonic, or the fresh plant infused in oil for skin application. 9 plants, hiding in plain sight. The people who relied on these weren't behind us. They were paying closer attention than most of us do today. They knew what grew nearby, what it did, and how to use it safely, because they had to. If this list gave you a new way to look at your own backyard, I want to point you toward 2 guides that go much deeper than any single video can. The first is the Real Food Test. It shows you exactly how to tell the real version of a traditional food from the diluted, fake, or overprocessed version most stores actually sell, so you're never getting fooled again. The second is the Home Apothecary Starter Kit. It walks you through exactly which traditional preparation to reach for first, how to make it safely, and what to avoid, using the foods and plants we cover on this channel every week. Both are linked right below this video. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 9 plants you're most surprised is growing near you. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and ring the bell. We post a new one of these every week. See you in the next one.